So it's a special treat for most of you, especially a couple of our guys here in the Steamroom. Take profits on Friday the 13th. Where you guys at? You're my guys. Thank you. Appreciate your love, man. Always good. Always good. All right. Economic calendar that I'm looking at for this week. Nothing on the docket today except for the bond auctions. You got a 3-month and a 6-month auction. Treasury statement at 2. Tuesday, CPI. And then you've got more Fed speak. And for whatever reason, now all of a sudden bond auctions are super important and are throwing algos into the mix. So that has not typically been a lot of the case most of the time. So Wednesday, you've got PPI final demand, retail sales, and then, of course, the ubiquitous petroleum status report. Thursday, you've got jobs, Philly Fed manufacturing index, import and export prices, industrial production, and then on Friday, housing starts and permits. So that's just the economic stuff to keep an eye out on. Last week, SPY and the Qs have just been on a torrid pace. So if any of you guys keep track of some of the moving averages, the one that seems to keep coming back again and again, especially when it comes to the major indexes, are like the 5-day simple moving average or the 8-day exponential moving average. And as long as you have things like the 200-day moving average and the 50-day moving average underneath price, anytime we pull back, the probability for bounce off of those areas is pretty big. So it's been really difficult to even find, just especially when you miss the move, just to wait for a spot where you're looking for any kind of a pullback. It hasn't happened, and mostly it's just been because of that positive gamma that Jesus likes to talk about. And you're in an environment where what happens is anytime the dealers are in a sell, what they'll do anytime during the period of the day is anytime you get any kind of a sell, the dealers are just going right back in buying to get a more of a spike higher. So I mean, you can see that on the chart from Friday. Anytime they came in, they just bought, came in, bought, came in, bought there, and there was really no coming in. So we'll see if we get more of the same. It should be a time where you've got this government shutdown pending as well, and then you've got pending earnings. The semiconductors have had a nice run here. Can we cool off a little bit? It'd be nice to be able to catch some scalps to the downside. I don't know if we'll be able to catch that big of a move, but Meter closed on Friday at 67. It's been torrential buying dating back to the end of October. It's been an amazingly strong run, and now technically you find yourself in a spot where pullbacks can be considered for long. So I've got up in the window just the small account, just the small scalp account from a big picture view. The long-term positions, Amazon has performed pretty well. We've managed to work our break-even price on those leaps down to here to 131.5 ish. So anybody who added on the Amazon move back up has done a nice job of averaging the cost of their leaps. I'm still in the same position on this. My goal is to get this to a 10 lot in a small account. On that account, there's only 3 of them. On a larger account in Costco, I have a 10 lot of these leaps dating back to they've been rolled twice, dating back to in here early June. So what am I looking for out of the Costco? I'd like to see this extension, this 597 area. It is in an area where it's toppy. It had a really, really strong day on Friday, and that was one I probably should have paid attention to on a short-term trade. So these guys, Chris talking about a megaphone pattern. I'm not huge into those types of patterns. I'm more of a bigger picture direction and level trader, as opposed to looking for head and shoulders, megaphones, et cetera, like a lot of that stuff has been around for time eternal. And the more that people focus on that, the more those types of patterns can also be spotted by people who are not as experienced. And that's oftentimes they wind up putting traps out there. So when we get closer here to the open, what are you guys looking at? You're looking at Coke. Boeing's got some interesting news on it this morning as well. Huge gap up. So the puts that I have for this week are just simply going to get burnt out, which is fine by me. If you guys recall, I played 200 puts back in here. As Boeing sunk, I rolled them to 187 and a halves for this week. So I used profits for that roll. So those are going to go out worthless. So to me, was it worth it? Yep. Because I got to use OPM, which is fine. You got a nice gap higher on Boeing. That might be fade the gap. We'll see. We got on Boeing. There's somebody said they were going to order. Is it 200? I got to find that information. Let's see. Boeing share surge on orders from major military security. Wasn't it like an order for 200 jets or some? Boeing receives an order for 4 787-9s from Royal Jordanian. This is the one. Emirates on the brink of ordering 90 Boeing 777Xs. So that's my best guess is that's a pop based on the headline. And if it's not a firm order, I don't know, maybe you get a fade there. Maybe there's a fade there. Take profits. Are you on the stream this morning right now? Are you listening? No, bro. Jesus is not on the stream today, and you've made it clear that you're not happy about that. So I get it. Let's just do a roll through what I'm looking at here. So let's take a look at first of all, the SPX. Who's got expected moves? Have expected moves been posted? Let's just go ahead and mark expected moves. If you've got them, if you can throw them up for me, that would be helpful on SPX and SPY. If you guys did not pay attention over the weekend in the off topic, Norse, did you post an off topic? Yeah. So have you guys paid attention to the skill share session? So Nico's come up with a nice idea on skill share. So if you guys are in the room, like Born, like Silvers, etc., somebody's going to reach out to you and say, hey, go ahead and share this idea. And if you're willing to come on and talk to Norris or Nico, we want to get your idea. We want to see how you set up a trade. If you watched the one with Born this weekend, it's really worthwhile. So he's got some really, really good ideas and some of his trade setups. So I think that you should check that out. Let's take a look at SPX. I'm going to go ahead and set some of these. I'm going to 5-minute chart here. Okay, upper level 442, 44, 42, 38. So not a very big upper end on SPY, on SPX. Let's do 4, 4. Lower level 43.88. It's a tight range. Uh, 43.88. Down. And then for SPY, let's put that on SPY. SPY is 443.36. Up. And 437.86 on the downside. That is a tight range. What's the 2 sigma? 2 sigma is 435.11. Come on, TradingView. Lower end. Upper on SPY, 446.11. 446.11. Go. All right, there's your expected daily moves, upper and lower, 1 sigma, 2 sigma. So the indication on that is a super tight range. So could be boring. Housekeeping notes for you guys and you guys on the stream that are managing the stream. Wednesday's a travel day for me. We're coming into the holidays. So trading for the rest of the month starts to take a different tone for a lot of us. Becomes more about enjoying your life as opposed to the day-to-day trade. And then Thanksgiving week, I will be sparse Thanksgiving week for sure. All right, we got about 30 seconds or so to the open. What are you guys watching today? I want to keep an eye on this Tesla. We've had some decent luck shorting this for scalps. And if the market shows weakness, it's been weak. Here's your Boeing upside alert on the Boeing. It's been weak, generally speaking. So I might take a look at that. Everything that's been hot, especially a lot of that underbelly, those underbelly names that Jesus likes to look at, those might be nice areas for shorts if it starts to peel off. But I think it's going to be really difficult for shorts. Let me just refresh this. Steamroom. So far, SPY showing strength. Let's see what we're going to do here. Some Tesla bulls. That's December 260 strike, 150K, 149. Stock trading at 216.31 at the time of that sweep. Let's take a look at the Tesla. See if we can get some of this tick strike noise in here. All right, I also have a position in XLE. And if I look at this on the daily, there was a big buyer of puts going out to March. They jumped in here. There's an anchor on it. So I've got an alarm set. If it crosses up into this area and hits its head, I'm going to look to add to it. There's plenty of time out to March. As it is, I added some on Friday. So that's up to a 15 lot. Maybe I try and build that up to 50 or 100. But oils can be super trappy. So I don't know that I want to commit to anything other than I noticed really big buying, like 22. There's like 22 million that went to work in the March 80 puts with an average around 229. So this anchor right here is going to keep me at a position where I can make a decision as to whether I just want to cut some losses and step back and wait, or do I want to add? Let's take a look at the favorite here. Amazon bears hitting for the 17th. So this Friday, 139, at 168. SPY selling off. Let's take a look. A bit. I'm gonna check out what these guys are doing. Futures, what do you guys got? Let's see if we can short some of this. Where are we at on? Take some of today 439s. Take a little 10 lot here. See if we get this flush out. Just see if we can get a little scalp here. The expected move down here is alarm set at 437.86. Maybe we get close to that. Let's take a look at our market lizards chart. Okay, we're already down at the put wall. That's no fun. If we're already there. You say I'm looking at SPY, not SPX. Yeah, I'm kind of, this is SPY. Yeah, but not SPX is what you're saying. Let me take a look at SPX. Oh yeah, I got you. Thank you for the shout out, Raman. Very little X flow. Yeah, there's not a lot here, right? And that, I did notice that those ranges are tight, Dave. Let's see. Boeing with some calls, Palantir with some calls. So you got Boeing this week, 205s, 100K. Palantir, small size, 11, 17, 20 and a half calls. I don't know what ZIM is. Some days we won't see any edge in the morning, tells me to stand by. Yeah, I got you, Dave. And sometimes like these kind of, feeler trades, these little 10 lots are kind of to get an idea. And then I can try and find something else. NVIDIA bears, that's not a bad idea. 11, 17, 475s. I'm just going to get out of the way of this and let's go look at NVIDIA. Messing with SPY. And let's look at the daily on NVIDIA. So there's NVIDIA, more NVIDIA bears. Nope, just one size. That's almost 600K though on the NVIDIA. And we got a put to call wall on NVIDIA here. Let's take a look at this NVIDIA put wall all the way down to 475. Interesting, because that's what they swept. So that's 1117. Let's take a look at those NVIDIA puts. If it's just we could tear, put wall moving down on NVIDIA could be promising. Yep, I agree with you, Dave. And they hit 475s for this week. I might grab a starter. Silver's as long SPX. Silver's why here? I'm curious to know why you like this spot. Hey, Horizon, that should have flipped last week. Do you guys agree with that? Okay, so SPX, are you looking at VWAP from Friday Silvers as a spot? Eight EMA on 65 on SPX. And also Friday's VWAP. See, I don't know. I don't understand where the disconnect is on your chart versus my chart, Silvers, because I don't have the 8 EMA until you get to 43, 58 and a half. I've got the 5-day SMA, which is hovering just above. You got TLT selling off. Let's take a look at that XLE again here. Okay, not there. They come back for that NVIDIA, I'm going to be more interested. I don't know that I just want to jump right into that thing. AMD selling off nicely here. Maybe The NVIDIA is see that thing, it's just strong. The smallest of pulls is hard to come by. And you've got to pay a pretty decent premium to take a crack at it. Let's take a look at the banks. Yes. JP Morgan, some Google Bears, 1117 131s. So the big guys are starting to see a little bit of some put activity. Nothing huge yet. That Google sweep is only 40K, 131s. Banks are, they don't look, they just look blah. Okay, semis, NVIDIA. I mean, that has, if they can sell it off on the daily, the 8 down at 463 is a nice target, but can they sell it off? So AMD, so all of everything in semi land. I don't know what happened to this thing. Allegro used to be nice and just technically it's just beaten up. Applied Materials, SMCI. Now that is not a bad thought if you're looking for a bounce play in these names. This is kind of the spot to consider that for a bounce. A little bit more selling in SPY. How about Qs? A bit more there. Let's take a look at Citibank. Yeah, see, they're showing some mixed trading. So I don't know that the banks help me at this point. Here's some more Google bears. So you got GOOG and GOOGL getting some activity. 1117 on the Google L, 131s, 143K for this week. CVNA, some puts hitting. Small size, this week's 24s. There's some more Google with the L. So now these guys are starting to show up a little bit more, and this is for this week 131s. It's not, they're not looking for a ton there, but you got 3 of them now.
So you actually have Google on the Momo scanner, active signal.
Okay, and Matt's telling me that's Google L is on the Momo scanner now. So let's pull that up. Okay, so that might not be a bad idea. Why can't I move this now? It's a little bit more. We might want to jump into some of that. And they're widening the bid-ask spread on the NVIDIAs. Let me take a look at this Google. The 131 puts. Let's grab a 10 lot of these. Let's take a look at this on the 1 minute. Okay, I'm just going to grab and see if we get any kind of a bounce here. It's going to grab 10 now. See how this goes with the Momo scanner, as well as the put activity. I got to turn this off for a second now because I can't get rid of that. Let's turn that back on. Okay, got it. VNOM with a little call sweep. December 32s, small size. Okay, there's your Google bounce. So let's take ahead. Let's look at the VWAP. Let me mark the VWAP. Okay, so spots back up. XLE crossing up. Let's take a look at that real quick too. Anybody keeping an eye on oil? There's some more Google 1117 130s. 188K. So now you got more Google hitting. Yeah, Chris, what's going on with oil? Who's got an eye on oil? Exxon getting a pop. Where's your CVX? Kind of hanging around. Got EOG here. Yeah, they're getting some pops. Just coming up to technical levels, so I want to see if they're going to hold. Let's take a look at the Google here again. Let's keep an eye on this. Tesla bulls. $11.17, 220s for 233K. So you get a pop up in Google to that area. I'm interested in adding to the position. And then 130.96. Let's see if this area down. Just keep an eye on these spots. Okay, here you go, a little bounce in SPY. Let's see if this is what we talked about earlier, which was did they buy the dips? And if they do, you have potential for a gap fill, 440.5. I think you need to fight your way through VWAP for a chance at getting back to where you opened. What is SNBR? That is Sleep Number Corporation. So that are they the mattress manufacturers? Same one and the same. That is looks like garbage. They're coming in to buy December 10 calls. That's one of those underbelly names. That chart looks horrible. Earnings were Tuesday, November 7th. Looks like a miss. Bad miss. There's some CVX calls. These are the April 19th, 24, 165 calls. 155K goes to work there on the FIVN. December 70 calls, 70K. This used to be one of those. This is another one of those underbelly names. XPEV. Looks like a China name. Am I wrong about that? 1117 calls, 17 and a halves. Take a look at our Google again. right, so this is the question on the bounces. The bounces so far look weak, so can they flush it out? Let's see if we get more. We got Tesla, somebody saying back to green. Yep, this is not an easy trade, and you got to find days where it's going to pick a direction. This is not an easy spot. I think you need some time, and you've got to wait for areas, either highs or lows, to look for opportunities. Silver's trimmed the long of his SPX. 8 of 10 for $1.10. That's a nice trade. Boeing's still going. And if you look left on this Boeing on the daily, all it's done is worked its way back to the range that it traded within, dating all the way back to the beginning of the year. So it's just made a round trip. Here comes some Q bears. These are for November 20, 375 puts, 295K. Crowd, you're getting some buying. That saw some buying last week as well, didn't it? I know some of you guys were playing crowd. That is this week, 220s, very small, $8,500. How does that even hit the scan? I don't get it. All right, let's look at these Qs. Qs are still starting to show some weakness here. Okay, and this is the VWAP from Friday. So if this is an area where it doesn't bounce, we might see some more sell. And if these guys pile in, and I don't have Gamma Gang, Mick Elliott's pretty bullish this week. And that Gamma flipped last week, right, Horizon? Are you seeing the same thing I am, aren't you? Let me go back to these expected moves on the Qs. I didn't mark that. I'm going to mark them now. All right. So Qs, lower side 375, 30. And you're almost there. And then a 2 sigma brings you down to 372.30. Might be a little optimistic to think that. Market. Upside. 381.40. Not looking good for 381.40, at least not yet. Two sigma on. Okay, there's your Qs crossing down. The first expected move has given it up. So if they keep coming after it, watch for more flush. However, not a bad idea to take profits if you've got some. Maybe a bounce off of that spot. Let's go ahead and mark that a little low. Two sigma 384.50, 384 and a half. these dips going to get bought, or are they going to sell this shit today? Q's bouncing so far. This is NVIDIA looking. Chop. AMD had a good, so yeah, the AMD was not a bad idea if some of you took that. Okay, so in between there, you got some city calls that showed up, small size for this week, 42.5. Some snap, small size. You see anything with some size here to it? Not much. You got some BZ. I don't know what the hell BZ is. No clue. And I've got some calls, 17.5s, but they are selling that thing. The technicals look horrible. What's Para? Paramount Global. That looks terrible. That's also small size coin. Giving some back on the coin. Qs are hanging in there. Here's some more Tesla calls. December 250s, 180K. Q's bouncing a little bit. Right off of the expected low. The first expected low, that is. And these Google puts are not working. So here you are back to the VWAP. So the question is this a spot where they sell it off, or do I just step aside and keep looking for something else? So I'm just taking little 10 lots on some of these trades, looking for, can we catch a real move and can we add to it? So far, not much. Here's some more Tesla on that same line, the December 250s, 187K. How's a Tesla looking?
Tesla is also on the Momo scanner now, active for the call side.
Yeah, Tesla also on the Momo scanner for long. But this is just not. We know that Tesla, it doesn't matter how much comes into this Tesla. It still does its own thing. Sometimes they get it right. Sometimes they don't. Take a look at this XLE again. Okay, that's having a strong day. So eventually I'll need to make a decision whether I need to add to this position or just get out of the way. So you've got a bunch of guys coming in on the call side. They have time. Does not look fantastic. MT, small call sweeper. Okay, Google crossing up above the VWAP. They're going to sell this thing off. I'm just going to keep an eye on this here for a second. I'll likely step out of the way if they can't sell this move to the VWAP off and just eat a small loser. I'm not going to sit here and turn that into a big loser. I'm taking that out. Let them run it up. It's probably a good spot to consider a short on the spikes, but I'm just going to step aside. So I still don't have anything that's really got my interest. Oops, let's take a look at the 1 days on Lily. So from a technical perspective, not a bad idea to consider the long side. Where's Microsoft's phone? So when I short like somewhere in here, looking for continuation down to an expected area, and it gets back above VWAP and they spike it, that's usually where I should be considering entry for a trade as opposed to covering for a small loss. But if that's part of timing being off, and when you recognize that you just need to get out of the way. What is KHC? Kraft Heinz. Somebody shouting out weekly 33.5 calls. Well, technically it looks decent. I don't necessarily like, there's not a lot there. What else we got here? Strong name. Matt, when does a put sweep, for example, on Google, when does that fall off of the Momo scanner?
I would have to talk with Norse more about the actual mechanics of it. I think I want to say it's a time stop, you know?
Okay.
So it's like after, let's say, I mean, what, it issued at 9:46. So I want to say it's half an hour. It's either 20 minutes or half an hour. I don't remember which.
Got you. Okay. All right. So you got more Tesla and more Google puts, more Google 131s for this week. You had some Q puts hit 372s for the 16th. Some Walmart puts hitting for March of 15 170s. And more Tesla calls, 1117 215s hitting now also. Qs. Maybe we're on to something. Maybe I need to grab some more size on this. Let's see.
Yeah, so it looks like it's 20 minutes. It just fell onto the pass signal. You can see here.
Okay, so Google fell off of the Momo scanner now
so
and into the passive.
Yeah.
So this might be barking up the wrong tree today. Let's just do another background. Silvers, you've got 4,500 on SPX for 1120. All I'm seeing is a bull flag in the works on the ES 4-hour chart. Okay. Well, I'm not going to try and short against you. So Silver's, correct me if I'm wrong, if this area doesn't hold up, $44.97 on SPX. So if that area doesn't hold up, you can see flush. But as has been the case for quite a while, is every time you think you've got your hands on a decent short scalp, it doesn't work very well. So here comes some Q call buyers for today, 377s, small size, 55K. Let's throw a fib on Friday's move. Okay, so you had a retrace, not quite to the 382. This pattern is bullish, however, so let me just get this flipped. XE dropping. Yen pairs loss on speculation. Japan intervenes to slow weakness. Horizon, you're in which? You're in the Q bulls. What are you in? Okay, Chris is in the Goldman calls for December 330s. Okay, all I've done so far is just come back and buy stuff up. Semis, NVIDIA green. So those put buyers are getting smacked. The Google puts didn't work or are not working. You got silvers getting long. Check out LTR. What are these guys doing in the futures room? Let's see what y'all are up to in the futures room. Let's see what Bourne's watching here. Watching 4450 cents to see if that catches action. Broke the range higher Friday. Got the stops. Didn't follow through yet. Watching the LTFs to get a clue. 4400 should hold. If the LTFs are respecting the range break and trending. Otherwise, we're in a TR still. Let's see. Yeah, is Norse sleeping in today? All right, mixed action. Not great ranges. You got to bounce off of that low. It did touch the lower end, or it did touch that first expected move on the Qs and bounced. Google puts were a push, and that trade's not really working out, and that's moved to the passive section of the Momo scanner. The longer that goes, that's going to have any kind of effect. XLE here, because I have out to March, any kind of move like this today is not going to get me all excited. Looking to see if I can potentially add to it. I'd be more interested up in this area for an add, if I do that at all. Let's take a look at the Amazon. Fine. Let me look at the Costco. Yeah, it's fine. Long-term positions on those two, so those are fine. Let's look at this Boeing. That was a decent spot for a short at the 50, but it did make a nice move off of the open, and I just kind of ignored that. We had a feeler trade on SPY for a small winner, a feeler trade on Google for a small loser. There's not much to be pulled out of what's going on right now, in my humble opinion. Palantir getting some more buyers on 12.15. The 20 strike, 262K. United, so airlines, let's see. These airlines have been garbage all year, garbage. Technicals trying, but you got some puts on United, so that's the December 34 strike, small size. I do not have much here. There is nothing exciting. Okay, high of the day is the VWAP. Where's your low? Right here. Let's mark that. Let's see if there's anything happening. I think this is more of a weighted out, at least for today, until something better sets up. Some more Tesla bulls. $220s for this week. 210K. Tesla is making a nice move higher. That retraced everything. What are they hitting? Let's take a look and see at, and I can't post the lines, guys. I don't have access to that. What I can do is look at the sweeps, and it has been all green this morning on Tesla for sweeps. So we got 12.15s on the 250s and 260s for this week, the 220s and the 215s all being swept in decent sizes. What is XRT? The trannies? No, retail. That's catching bears December 1st, 56 puts, small size. What is BEKE? Okay, KE Holdings, that's no interest to me. Are you guys playing energy drink names? Is anybody playing those? Let's look at this SMCI. Did that bounce off of that spot? Not yet. It's not a bad idea to look for a bounce on the SMCI at a technical spot. Let me get rid of this. Let me get rid of this. Bring that in. All right, so SMCI is sitting right on the 50, right on a fib retracement from a big picture. So let me zoom this out a week. 2 weeklies, I should say. All right, so this is marking this move from April of 23 to this high, August of 23. And this is a retracement now back to the 618. So on a bigger picture time frame, you're on a level. On a daily time frame, you're on a level. So if you like this name long, I might play this with a little bit of time. Here's your SMH. SMCI, let's pull that up. Meta is up at highs. Yep, still ripping. Not my favorite trade. Impressive. No doubt about it. Call it 346. Yeah, Chris, I don't know why you're trading that ENPH. You do you. Matt, are you in Palantir? Okay, more Tesla. 1117 220s, 150K tack on. So back up to this area at 221 and a half. Okay, who's over in the trade space offices that can go and take the coffee away from Chris? Matt's got the Palantir December 1st, 20 and a halves from 56 cents. I like it. I don't like that particular stock, but that's a nice looking trade. Technically, from a technical point of view, you're in a good spot. However, look left. You're in an area where it can bump its head. If it gets through, bigger picture, you got 21 on deck. Okay, there's some more Palantir. These are small size sweeps. And some Q bears just showed up for the 20th, 377 puts, 350K. Tesla 1117, 222 and a halves. So Tesla is just, they're just coming for it here this morning. I'm late messing around with Google and Spy. And this has been your trade. Tesla's been a nice trade this morning. I'm going to get rid of that from Friday. I'm going to take a look at today's VWAP on the Qs. All right, I got no edge. At least from a scalp standpoint. Not looking to get married to this Tesla. Definitely trading within a range. NVIDIA bulls, let's see what they got going. $11.24, 515s on NVIDIA. 650K. That's a good size sweep. They don't care any dips. They just buy on the NVIDIA. Where's your high? 502. What are they buying? 515s. Wow. Wow. More Q puts. 1120, 377s, 360K. So you got NVIDIA and Tesla both on the Momo scanner. And both of them in spots where it's not necessarily easy to take trade. Okay, that annoying blue line that you see is a 5-day SMA, but I ignore it unless it's on the daily. So above, we've got a rising 5-day SMA. This is just, it is a very, very difficult short for anything other than a scalp. And if you wait, more times than not, at least in this environment, this is just a good pickup for a long as it continues. So they're trying to get some of these bigger names to crack. Nothing's happening. Look at your banks, kind of flattening out. Schwab does not look like the other banks. Blackstone, range, semiconductors, just a little coolness, but they've jumped right back into the call buying on NVIDIA. AMD with a nice little sell-off. That's had a really nice run since earnings. So of the semis, just because of the run that it's had, if it starts to show some weakness, you probably have a better shot at a fade on an AMD than you do on an NVIDIA. How many times have you seen everybody try and short NVIDIA, and it looks like it wants to be a nice scalp short, and it just fights that every single time. Here's your SMCI. Let me get rid of this. That's the anchor off of the low. I'm going to take that out because I know I'm sitting there. And from a small point of view, let's take a look at this little move. Where's this trading on? That's sitting on the 618. It's tempting to get long this. Tempting to get long. Silver's asking me what would be a good call leap for NVIDIA long term. Silver's, I mean, you know my parameters on that. Silver's, the only problem with NVIDIA, you've got to think about what size you want. And it is, I mean, if you look at it on the big picture, look at the range that it's trading in. I don't know that you necessarily want a full position on a long-term long. If you want to start something here, you know, you can. Eventually, there will be some kind of fade in NVIDIA. But when there, so if you like it, if you like it long in this spot, you know, I'm looking for 12 months out, right? And you know what kind of delta I like? Do I like starting a position in a spot like that? It's not as comfortable. So if you do, your profit from equity that I never got past is you want to roll into it. Okay. So then take that profit or part of that profit and start 70 to 80 delta 12 month out. Here's some more Q bears, 377 for the third for today. More tack on Tesla. So you got 11, 17, 225s twice now, 160K and 144K. Kelman asking me about, I mean, just on a bigger picture, Kelman, this is kind of the spot to consider taking some profits or rolling to another area. What's the other area? Well, this one comes right into view. This call it 227. So that's another 7 points of upside if they want to continue to run it, but you are coming into a spot where it can start to bump its head. Skim, if you know anything about the long-term positions that I like, it's the 70 to 80 deltas. But a lot of that comes with where are you buying? What are you buying? So on an NVIDIA, if you're looking at this and your opinion is, listen, this thing's going to 800 bucks, right? Or it's going to 600 bucks, whatever your number is, doesn't matter. It is currently in an uptrend. However, look at what the range has been dating back to May, and you're getting close to the top of that range. So if you start a position here, there are two things that you should take into consideration. Should you be full size here? Probably not. You can start a position, and should you get to work shorter term writing against your long-term position, well, call 502 as an area of resistance. So if you're writing shorter term in these spots, it's a decent idea to collect some premium to help pay for those leaps. At the same time, if that area doesn't work for your right, what you can do is flip on that right and turn it from a short-term position directionally, which is your right, and flip it to the direction that it's going. So for example, if you write some calls for this week and NVIDIA keeps running, you can flip those short calls to long calls, right? Or simply get out of the way and let the leap do its work. But you do take risk, more risk than you have to on an NVIDIA when you buy it up here. Here's a bunch of AMC puts hitting. These are for June of 24, the $3 puts. That's disgusting. Metacalls, 1117, 330s. This just keeps on pushing its way higher. All right, guys. So we are going to wrap up the public broadcast. And I think for the rest of the week, Jay should be back tomorrow. Lucci's out. I'm going to be out on Wednesday. If you are interested in a 14-day trial, it's only $8. There's a lot of information to take in. There's a lot of really good traders in our rooms. And there's a lot of really good tools and a lot of trade setups that a lot of our experienced traders share. That's also another tool. We call it Skillshare. And if you like somebody's style in the room, it's a really nice way to add to your quiver of trades. So jump in, enjoy it, and we'll see you guys the rest of the way in the Steam Room. And I'm out Wednesday, might be out Thursday and Friday as well. But have a great rest of the day. All right.